Welcome to the Economist Word Spotlight. Have you ever found yourself reading a compelling news article, perhaps about a complex geopolitical event, and realize a single word or phrase held the key to unlocking a deeper understanding? How do those seemingly small linguistic details shape our entire perception of a story, moving beyond just the headlines? Well, this session is designed to do just that, to explore the nuanced vocabulary from a recent Economist article. We want to help you gain knowledge quickly and thoroughly, making sure you're well informed without feeling overwhelmed. Today, we're looking at the article, How Did Pakistan Shoot Down India's Fighter Jets? It was published on July 16th, 2025. And it delves into a really sensitive and frankly scrutinized event. Understanding the precision of the language used here is, well, it's crucial for grasping the different angles and implications. So let's begin with our first word, punctuated. It immediately sets quite a powerful scene, the article states. But this noise was louder and less familiar. A roar punctuated by repeated explosions. So punctuated, used here as a verb, past tense. It means to be interrupted or marked at intervals by something. Often a sudden sound, like here, or an event. It tells us the roar wasn't steady. It was violently broken up, interrupted by these explosions.
Precisely. And think of it like the silence of the night was punctuated by distant thunder. It's not a continuous sound. It's more a series of abrupt interruptions. So the opposite concept would be something like unbroken or continuous.
Right, smooth, without interruption.
Exactly. Like the lecture with a continuous monologue without any questions or breaks. Just went on and on.
Yeah, what's really compelling about using punctuated here is how it immediately conveys that sense of abrupt, disruptive violence. It's not just noise.
No, it's more than that.
It's portraying chaos, immediate danger. It really pulls you, the reader, into the visceral experience of it all. It suggests a sudden, almost jarring shift.
Absolutely. It evokes that immediate visceral impact. It defines the character of the event right from that first description. Really strong choice of word.
Okay, so from that immediate impact, the article then shifts a bit, trying to pinpoint causation with the phrase stemmed from. The text reads, "What is more, they are starting to indicate that the losses may have stemmed from Indian errors rather than technological deficiencies." So stemmed from, it's a verb phrase, past tense of stem from, basically means to originate from or be caused by something. In this very sensitive context, it suggests the aircraft losses were likely caused by, well, errors on the Indian side, not issues with the jets themselves.
Yes, it's a key phrase for attributing where something started, its origin. A clearer, maybe simpler example. The misunderstanding stemmed from a poorly worded email.
Right.
And conversely, the opposite idea would be unrelated to or independent of. That implies no connection, like his success was independent of his family background. No link there.
This phrase stemmed from, it feels particularly insightful. The Economist often uses this kind of measured language, doesn't it?
It does.
Not directly assigning blame, but sort of neutrally presenting a potential cause, especially with sensitive stuff like this. Does using that kind of indirect phrasing imply a subtle stance, maybe? Or is it purely neutral attribution, do you think?
Well, I think it often serves to maintain that journalistic impartiality. By using stemmed from, the article presents a conclusion, yeah, but one drawn from evidence, without making an outright accusation. It allows for a more nuanced presentation of something potentially controversial.
Yeah.
It's a careful way to report sensitive findings.
Makes sense. Careful wording. And the complexities of this event, they just keep unfolding. They're described with a word that really captures that long, winding nature. Saga, the article notes. One of the latest and most controversial twists in the saga came in June when Indian news outlets aired a recording of Captain Shiv Kumar, India's defense attaché in Jakarta, addressing a seminar earlier in the month. Saga. As a noun, it refers to a long, often complicated series of events, usually involves drama, conflict, maybe intrigue. And here, it feels like it perfectly describes this ongoing, dramatic sequence of developments around the India-Pakistan conflict, suggests an extended, intricate history.
Indeed. It really highlights a protracted and evolving narrative, not just a single point in time. Think about the legal saga between the two tech giants has dragged on for years. It suggests length and complexity.
Right, like it's not over yet.
Exactly. And the contrast would be something like an episode or an incident. Those refer to shorter singular events, like that incident was quickly resolved without further trouble. Done and dusted.
So using saga here really elevates the air skirmish beyond just a simple incident, doesn't it?
Definitely.
It implies a deeper, more entrenched conflict, twists and turns. It suggests it's part of this ongoing narrative between the two nations. How does that word choice shape how you, the reader, understand the conflict as something much bigger?
Well, it communicates that this isn't just a moment in time, but another chapter, maybe, in a long, complex story. It also suggests an almost intractable nature to the conflict, reinforcing that idea of historical roots and ongoing complexity that, frankly, demands sustained attention. It signals to the reader, this is complicated, pay attention.
Okay. And that leads us nicely to a word that defines specific targets and intentions within this saga. Militant, the article states. He said that India lost some aircraft only because its political leadership had ordered its air force not to hit Pakistan's air defenses. Instead, they targeted only militant sites on the first day. So militant. It can be an adjective or a noun, refers to someone aggressively active, especially supporting a political or religious cause, often using force or violence. In this context, it specifically seems to mean violent or extremist groups operating inside Pakistan, which were the initial targets for India's airstrikes.
Yes, it precisely delineates the nature of the target. It's a specific category. For instance, the government launched an operation against the militants in the border region.
Okay.
The opposite of militant would be, say, a civilian or perhaps a peaceful activist, someone not involved in violence or armed conflict, as in civilians were evacuated from the conflict zone.
The choice of militant here feels quite significant. It frames India's initial strikes as selective, targeted, presumably against non-state actors. How does that specific phrasing influence our perception of India's early strategic decisions and, the potential for escalation?
It definitely shapes the narrative around India's early actions, maybe suggesting strategic restraint initially. It hints at an effort perhaps to limit escalation, justifying the specific choice of targets rather than engaging in broader military action against, say, state infrastructure right away. It implies a deliberate strategy, perhaps, to contain the conflict at the start.
Right, a controlled initial response. Okay, so from defining targets, we move to how errors were apparently addressed. Let's look at Rectified, the article says. He went on to say that India had rectified its errors after 2 days, allowing all its fighters to fly again and to strike targets in Pakistan from long range. Rectified, verb, past tense of rectify. It means to correct something or make it right, especially an error or a problem. So in this context, it indicates India fixed the tactical mistakes it made during that initial stage of the conflict.
Exactly. It signifies a crucial process of correction, making something right again. A simple example might be the engineer quickly rectified the issue with the power supply. Fixed it.
Got it.
The opposite concepts, maybe worsen or neglect, suggesting ignoring a problem or even making it worse instead of fixing it. For instance, by neglecting the warnings, they worsen the situation.
The word rectified here implies more than just fixing, doesn't it? It suggests a crucial strategic adaptation.
I think so, yes.
It's not just that things were fixed, but maybe that India showed a capacity to learn from setbacks and then reassert its operational effectiveness. What does that suggest about the dynamic nature of military strategy in a live conflict?
It really communicates a sense of recovery and strategic capability. It indicates that initial difficulties, whatever they were overcome through deliberate, effective action. It points towards an underlying resilience, maybe, and a capacity for tactical improvement, which is, of course, a key aspect of any military engagement. Adapting on the fly.
Adapting, right. Okay, finally, let's look ahead a bit at the future implications hinted at in the article. We encounter the word contender. The piece highlights. And Dassault, the French manufacturer of Rafales, is a leading contender alongside Sweden's Saab and America's Boeing and Lockheed Martin. A contender, noun, refers to a person, or in this case an organization, competing to win or gain something, usually in a serious high-stakes competition.
Yeah.
Here it's referring to these major global aerospace companies, Dassault, Saab, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, all vying, competing to win India's massive fighter jet contract.
Yes, it's a highly competitive term. It immediately brings to mind a race, a competition. Think of it like she emerged as a strong contender for the championship title. Someone in the running with a real chance.
Okay.
On the other hand, an outsider, or maybe a non-contender, that would be someone with little chance of winning, or maybe not even involved in the competition at all. Like, as an outsider, he's not expected to win the election.
Using contender here really broadens the scope, doesn't it? Beyond the immediate conflict itself.
It does.
It pulls in the huge geopolitical and economic stakes of the international arms market. It frames this military contract as this high-stakes global competition. What does that reveal about how interconnected military events and global industry really are?
Well, it certainly highlights India's strategic importance as a major buyer in the defense market and the intense competition among these global defense manufacturers. It underscores that military engagements aren't just isolated events. They have significant ripple effects on international trade, on technological competition, and even on strategic alliances between nations. It's all linked.
So much wrapped up in just one word.
Exactly. And what's truly valuable here, I think, is how dissecting these specific words gives you, the listener, a richer, much more nuanced grasp of the complexities within this India-Pakistan conflict. It really moves you far beyond what a simple headline could ever convey. It emphasizes the profound impact that precise language has on our comprehension.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a thought to consider. As you consume information from various sources, how might paying closer attention to the precise language, the specific word choices used by authors, how might that change your understanding of events? And maybe even challenge your own assumptions about what's truly happening. We encourage you to keep an ear out for these linguistic nuggets in your own reading and listening.